educated and you have real buyers.
Curtis, you're the son of midnight, baby.
But anyway,
You have a good day, sir. I just debated you.
I appreciate it, and I enjoyed it.
Does anybody else have a question? Does anyone else have a question? Michael, do you have a question? And we have a young lady. Any questions? Jennings' daughter? No? Okay.
So I have a question.
Ethan has a question.
I have a question. What is the litmus thesis moment of running, and what is the objective based on what happened from the current council member, and how are you going to alleviate that? Because I believe the voters really need to know what damage was done.
What litmus test are you talking about? More specific.
In terms of deference and protecting a community.
Well, the bottom line is this. I would say this. I mean, thanks to I don't like to pat myself on the back, but I would say this. In this particular circumstance, thanks to Michelle and thanks to myself, the community got to know what deference was.
Okay.
Because a lot of people didn't even know that the term existed.
Okay.
The narrative that was put out was that my no vote is enough. And a lot of people were buying that. If I said no, it's enough. That was our council member saying, my no is enough. When we clearly knew that she needed her colleagues on board with her to give her deference, to defer to her wishes, which in turn would be her siding with her community's wishes. So a lot of people didn't even know that she needed more than her no vote to get that done. We educated the community over and over and over again with repetitiveness, video after video, rally after rally. Now, in the terms of deference, her deed right there, where she betrayed the community, she might have really thrown the concept and the tradition of deference out the council window. That set a dangerous precedent, a very dangerous precedent. She should have sided with the community. She should have never lied to the community, number one. Because the bottom line is, when you lie to your constituency, you now have betrayed. And as a council member or any elected official, you have a fiduciary responsibility to people emotionally and financially invested in their community. Just the same way you give people your money and you want your money back, a financial advisor, they have a fiduciary responsibility. Your elected official has a fiduciary responsibility to protect your emotional and financial investment. And that's the bottom line. And the turning point for me to go after her was simple. When she said, I am with you, and then she went into the city council, and we were in the subcommittee chambers, and we heard the talk. We heard them not pay attention to us. We watched them look at their cell phones when people were going up, testimony after testimony after testimony. And they're telling about all the services we needed, everything that we're lacking, how this was going to stress and strain our community. And they just sat there looking at their phones, not even paying attention to us. And I got up there with a plan in mind. And when I seen what happened, I had to change my whole tune because I had to get their attention. And my tune was, get them to the goddamn table. And you know what happened? Nothing. They wouldn't even get us to the table with them. We never even met with the property owners once. There was no communication, no dialogue at all in that case. And that's a disgrace, and she's a disgrace. And I'll say it right to her face, and I've said it many times. I'm coming after her, and I'm coming after her hard, and I've been coming after her hard, and I'm not stopping. And that's the bottom line. That's my litmus test, and that's my thesis.
Okay.
We're going to go off and have a meeting now.
Oh, did you want me to answer that too, Efrain?
Yes.
Okay.
A question is to follow up on that.
Okay.
Based on the fact that there were 34 parcels, including this in that upzoning in Bruckner, what damage could that be if she remains in office? What could happen to the rest of the district?
Right now, the district is in harm's way. We have to be very realistic about what's going on. If you're a good elected official, you're going to listen to your constituents and your residents. You're going to know the communities, because every community has different needs, and they're fighting different things within city council. What happens with our city council person right now is that she hasn't been, when she went in as new city council person, she was not qualified. She was not qualified within community, know the residents, know community issues, know community, where we stand firm in our decision making. On our traditional family, on pro-police, on a lot of things. So when she went in there, from the conversations I had with the other city council members that are supposed to be colleagues of hers, they have mentioned to me that she went in there inexperienced. When they made choices when she was getting the no and she voted no, she thought that that would be sufficient enough, and it wasn't. Because she didn't have dialogue with the other colleagues in city council to let them know why was she saying no, why do we say no to the 1900 project, why to say no to the upzoning, and all the other things that have brought us to this moment right now. So the point is that if we continue to look her way, we already lost, and we want to regroup and refresh ourselves and start building where she has done so much damage. In order to do a lot of that damage, you have to go back into the city council and have 51 members vote on it again and table things and make sure that we're fighting and having a conversation. For 1900, it would be land use and the 7 members of the committee. Without us knowing the process, then she's ignoring the people because she's not experienced. According to the city council members that she sits with, they have all told me, Irene, you're in this condition because she's not experienced. She does not know how to speak to us. She does not know how to put us to the table and give us a conversation about what do the people want. They don't want an exodus. We don't want to move. We want to save our children from these people who are coming in from jail, and we have 5 schools. When you take a look at the things that, and how is she going to know if she doesn't have experience with children? What is she going to know when she's not babysitting? What is she going to know about the Explore program? Did she ever run a program like I did? No. Does she have 2 daughters in the police department? No, I do. And one thing about you coming after the blue, defund. Safety net is one thing, but you got to protect our police officers and our first responders. Because we need more. We need beat cops. And you know what? We don't have enough cars, sectors for them to go and be called on patrol. We don't have enough vans. But I'll tell you one thing, every city council member has a police officer right outside their office. Every time they're going out, there's a police officer that's driving their cars. So we have to say, the same security you have is what we want. What is good for you is good for us. You work for us, you don't work for me. I don't work for you, you work for us. So we got to make sure that we put the pressure where the pressure belongs. I don't have time to vote for her again or speak to her again and tell her, this is how you're supposed to go into city council, be bold, be courageous, be firm, meet with the colleagues, and do something about it. We're not at that time. This city council candidates, we're not about that. We're about to go in there, and we know how it works, the process of government, and we're going to go ahead and take care of business. So the people have to be smarter to vote for Irene Estrada for the city council 13th district, as well as for George Hav, and we'll meet at the primary going into the general election. That's how we're going to start moving the ball and making sure that all of our district, from Ross Neck to Allerton, from Van Ness to Pelham Gardens, Morris Park, and everything in the middle is protected mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Let me tell you something. How many people in Indian Village don't suffer from depression right now? Worrying about having inmates living right across the street by 5 schools. How many mothers are concerned about their children going to school and they're getting shootouts all over the Bronx? We need more policing, but without changing the bail reform, without changing city council and the progressives and pushing them out, Mayor Eric Adams' hands are tied. So we, as a people, have to understand how government works, and we have to go ahead and push in a tidal wave of unity. We must unite and stay united and fight this fight and march and rally and protest right to the ballot box, right to the primaries, and get these people out.
And a follow-up before we go, because there are other things that have to be done. What does this say about the legacy of Jimmy Vaca, the former councilman who actually groomed the husband and Marjorie Velasquez? I find it troubling, but I want to hear from the candidates what actually happened, because he's been running away from this with the Brooklyn upzoning. But they were in his office, and I just want to know if both of yous understand sometimes young people have to do their time before they rationalize. But I want to hear from you what your thoughts are on that. George?
It's very simple, Efron. If you look from the genesis of this thing at the very beginning, right? When the upzone was announced and you see a News 12 interview, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of gesturing, there's a lot of tone changes. But you know what I never heard? I never heard the word no. I'm against this. I heard they're replacing the small with the tall. They're replacing this, they're replacing that. But I never heard anyone say, no, I'm against it. To me, like I told you once before, the whole world is a stage. And on the stage is many actors. And that was one big act. Because the bottom line is, no one said no. There was a lot of gesticulation, but no one said no.
As I spoke to you on that, what you referenced at the Lee Zeldin press conference with Reverend Ruben Diaz,
Yes.
And you did mention that to me, and I did put it on social media. Is it important for people to pay much attention to things that they don't see on social media or the media? Like, should they be more engaged in community boards?
And this is the bottom line. Yes, there is, but you got to remember, it goes beyond that. To me, this is about the old trade, craft, and skill set of what I term illusory politics. And I'll give you the Orchard Beach thing for a second, the scenario over there. I said from day one, and I put it on video, that this thing is not sustainable. It's not going to happen. Stop looking over here. When you look over here, they're going to get you over there. It wasn't sustainable. Why didn't I think it was sustainable? The Pavilion Project, with millions of dollars going in. Everybody was focused on flooding and the migrants and this and that. I understand that. But I said, because of that project, there is no way they're letting people stay in Orchard Beach. Money is going to dictate. There is no way they're allowing that. You have millions and millions of dollars being invested in there. There was no way it was sustaining. So all the focus was over there, and then what happened? All of a sudden you got Seminole Avenue. All of a sudden you got other things. The hand is quicker than the eye. That's what they do. It's skill set and trade craft. And they did it with the Bruckner upzone. Look at the timing. In the middle of a pandemic, when all the communities were dormant, community boards weren't meeting. This is trade craft, illusory politics at its finest. And you know what? The best citizen sometimes cannot keep up with that. The hand is quicker than the eye.
Okay. Irene, because we're going to close, but what's your thoughts on what I just mentioned?
Repeat your question.
So, based on the fact that the current councilwoman and her husband were actually in his office, and they were groomed by the previous council member, Jimmy Vaca, who is a land use, I would say, mastermind, because he had so much experience. To see what happened after that, what are your thoughts on that? Because he ran, he has not really shown his face.
He's in hiding.
Steve Kaufman, the former assemblyman, actually mentioned at the Lee Zeldin conference that he was very upset. He didn't understand why the vote happened. But then I wonder what his role, and I want people to understand something. And I don't want to make false allegations here. What was the role? Because he is the legal counsel for the Drogsneck bid. So to be surprised and then all this grooming, what is your thoughts about how we groom young people to come in and do a seasoned positions job? Because you really need to know what you're doing. But I just wanted to hear you.
Well, you hit it right on the nose. It's seasonal. She was placed there for a season only to get his purpose out and on the table. Once they have completed that particular goal, then they have to move on. One thing about Jimmy Vaca is that when he first ran for city council, Steve Kaufman and myself ran against him. So when you take a look at how long he's been in office and his experience, you can see, you can always know a good politician if your communities are thriving, if your communities are having stabilization in their rents, and good economics in their food and their safety net, then you know you have a good politician in your communities. More policing, more schooling, more school guards. If you have all of that, then you're in a safety net. Our safety net has been broken for how long? So there is a safety net within the department of our government, city council, that needs to be ripped and washed away, because Jamie Vaca works for the Bronx Borough President's office.
Oh.
And if he works for the Bronx Borough President's office, anything that is in there is going to be affecting all the whole Bronx. So then he has groomed Richie Torres, he has groomed Marjorie, he has groomed her husband, and then the list continues to go on, and that's fine, because you know that's your legacy of other people who work for you, and you see your proteges. But it's not working for the people. It's working for him. It's working for their pockets. They're the ones that continue to get rich. They have the safety net. They're buying $1.3 million homes, and you're stuck paying the rent. And you're stuck paying high Con Edison. And you can't afford your food because you're deciding, should I pay Con Edison or should we eat? Should we get shoes or should we get a jacket? The baby needs pampered, or we need formula. So they're living in a bubble. They have no idea how the communities and the people are being affected. It's not poor and rich in our communities. We're all just trying to survive. And this is where the survival instincts are going to have to come in the primary. Are you pissed off enough to go and vote if you haven't voted for 20 years and 10 years? Are you pissed off enough to do something about it? To turn on the incumbent and throw away her garbage and her emails and anything that they mail to you? Because you're only important when you're voting. We got to educate the seniors because they come after the senior vote. I'm a senior. Vote for me. I'm a senior. But if we don't come out of our shells and come and fight the fight and run like George and myself, and Curtis is organizing to take the fight, guess what? We'll be in the same condition? I say no. I say we unite. We work with Curtis, we work with George. We, the people, have had enough, and now it's time for we, the people, to do something about it. And we're doing something about it.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Efrain.
Thank you very much.
One second. This woman Laura's watching. She wants to know if she can take a picture with you guys.
Yeah,
She's in the right corner. Okay, in the middle. Ladies in the middle. Ladies in the middle. Ladies in the middle.